You have brought shame to the dojo. Pack up your dice, Jimbo, and hit the door. You and your disgrace shall not be tolerated any longer.
Well, that was a little dramatic. My goodness. You personally may not have brought shame to the dojo, but for a lot of us, it's a fact of life that needs to be addressed. I also need to put on my glasses because I can't see a thing. Hey everybody, it's Leigh from Geekshow, your life's dungeon master. Yes, I'm here to guide you through the twists and turns that we call the labyrinth of life. It's time to get real for just a moment. Gamers like us, we're a special breed. We love our games, we love our dice, we love our miniatures. We love to take a good hot shower and use soap and deodorant before we come into the dojo to roll dice. Oh no, I see a couple of you hiding your heads in shame. It's all right. It's all right. Come in, friends. Come in. I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to guide you. Some of us may have missed out on some of those essential life skills that makes cohabitating in a game space pleasant for everybody. So come with me now, and we're going to talk about some of the things that a lot of us have been guilty of doing that have brought shame to the dojo. First, we're going to talk about something that we really shouldn't have to talk about, and that's hygiene. For a couple of years, I worked at one of the coolest game stores in the world. It's Shiv Games. You can check them out on eBay. Really great shop. Highly recommend them. This is a store that is so cool, they actually have written into their unbreakable covenants that you can't come in smelling like ass. That sounds a little harsh, but there were people from time to time who did indeed come in smelling a bit like ass. And unfortunately, that leads to some awkward conversations, some hurt feelings, and a lot of people looking around saying, what the hell is that? I know, it seems like I'm exaggerating. I'm not. Stink ass is real, friends, and somehow some gamers have figured out a way to conjure it. But there is a saving throw against stink ass, and it's pretty simple. We're talking hot water, we're talking soap, we're talking deodorant. For a lot of folks out there, you might be thinking, well, I washed the essentials, everything's good. Basically, if there's a part of your body that's exposed to bacteria, it's gonna stink at some point or another. So make sure that that soap hits everything. And deodorant. Deodorant is an absolute essential. And for folks like me who sweat an awful lot, let's look into some antiperspirant. Now, a lot of you do cover that pretty well, but you might put on the same clothes that you had on beforehand. Little known secret here, bacteria gets into your clothing and it just reactivates the second you put it on. Even over a clean body, dirty clothes, they're gonna stink. And I'm sorry, folks, if you've got cats, I've heard this excuse before. Oh, I've got cats, that stink that you smell, that's my cat box. Well, it's time to clean the cat box. And another thing, guys, you gotta stop doing this. There are some dudes I've met in my life who just cover themselves up in body spray or cologne or what have you. Well, you're just putting up this shield wall of chemical stink on top of the biological stink that you're toting around with you. And that biological stink, hell, that's going to peek through from time to time, even while you're barraging people with the sense smell of whatever it is you slathered on yourself. So simple: soap, water, deodorant. Yeah. It's a win for everyone, and your friends at the dojo, they're going to appreciate it all the more. And the second point, this is such a dude thing, it's kind of painful to talk about. Pull your pants up. Sometimes going into the dojo to get in a little Age of Sigmar or some Malifaux is like walking into the trophy room of a big game hunter who exclusively hunts butt crack. It's everywhere, just hanging out. No one, and I mean no one, wants to see that, guys. And seriously, fellas, if you can't tell that your shorts are at half-mast, this might be a good time to invest in some suspenders. Yeah, they're not fashionable, but they'll keep everybody from seeing your butt crack. And I don't care if you have the greatest butt crack in the history of back canyons and crevasses. No one wants to see it. So unless you just showed up for that charity tournament for butt crack acceptance, it's time for you to cover up that nightmare alley. And yeah, even you, filthy, filthy nerdhole players, shame on you. Cover it up. Cover it up. Third, this is a big one, and I get it. Sometimes we might be a little awkward as gamers. Society hasn't really accepted us wholesale, so we're a little bit on the fringe there. But let's not be creepers. I've known a lot of lady-presenting folks who will go into a game store and they might have a real awkward, cringy experience with somebody in the shop. You may know everything there is to know about Warcry or the Rainbow Warriors or the Sisters of Battle, and cool, that person might even be interested in hearing about it, but you don't have to stand 2 feet away from them and explain it to them at full volume. If that lady that just walked into a game store is interested in a game or interested in the lore, I promise you she's going to ask about it. Personal space is a big thing too, and also A lot of that rules knowledge that we have comes across as pandering when we just unload it on somebody. Be patient, be cool, and I guarantee you we're all going to be better off in the long run when we make that accepting, welcoming space in the dojo. There are things that a lot of us do that we might not even be aware of that can make a casual gaming experience absolute hell for a woman that's walked into a game store. I'm talking about gatekeeping. That can be awful. We don't need to riddle somebody or expect them to lay down geek bona fides just to come in and roll some dice with us. The dojo is a welcoming place for everybody, and if we lose somebody because of our attitudes or the way we act, we're all the less for it, right? I've known so many women in my life who've gone into a comic book store or a game shop just to check it out, who've had to actually toughen themselves up just for the experience. That's not something they should have to do. The dojo welcomes all. We're all better for it if people were able to come in and enjoy the games and enjoy this rich world that we're all sharing together. We can be better. There is room for everyone at the game table, especially if their pants are pulled up. Okay, a couple more points. Trying to make this brief, and I'm also trying not to make this a total bummer because I know a lot of folks out there are going, oh man, why did Uncle Leigh had to make me feel bad about my butt crack? We have to be good sports when we're playing games. It doesn't matter what we're playing, whether it's a D&D game or a really wild game of Infinity. It doesn't matter what the game is. I have seen so many games go completely south just because somebody had a crap attitude about losing, or they had a crap attitude about not winning hard enough. That's even worse. Or if you were playing with somebody who's just going through such a horrible experience because they're not winning and you start feeling bad because you might be winning, well, that's not fun for either one of you. Sure, we all get competitive, but gaming is a communal experience. It's something that we all come together and build a community and celebrate those things that brought us together in the first place. And this isn't Cobra Kai. We're not going to score extra points from Senpai by sweeping the leg. Let's build each other up. Let's help each other out. Let's have a good time and laugh about it when things start to go wrong with the dice. You don't need to scream and yell and scare and intimidate people. It's just not worth it. I know a guy who's a fantastic Infinity player who's not welcome at Infinity tournaments because he's such a jerk at the games. Well, it sucks for him and it sucks for the people who don't get to play with a good gamer. I learned some valuable lessons from two really fun people to play games against. They may not even be the best players in the world, but they're great players to play with. These guys are laughing. They'll laugh at their own mistakes. They build you up when you make a mistake. They're like, yeah, it's cool. We'll keep going. And best of all, at the end of the game, you get a cheerful handshake and a good game. That's awesome. You feel good about that. Even if you got your butt dragged all the way across the map and back, it's really cool just to have a fun, entertaining time and a congratulations on a game well played. That can mean everything to you. I genuinely love playing games with both of these dudes. It's not about the win for them. It's just about the experience of playing games, and that is so amazing. There's a couple other things about being a sporting player that we need to keep in mind too. Rules lawyers, you gotta tone it down. Stopping the game for 40 minutes so that we can look up the minutia of a certain rule just grinds the game to a halt, makes it absolutely no fun for anybody involved. Really, what I like to do is if we can't figure it out in a couple of minutes, we're gonna roll it off, we're gonna write a note down, and after the game, me and my opponent, or me and my dungeon master, or me and my game group, we'll figure it out together as a group so that we both remember for the next game. We don't need to stall the game we're in. We'll figure it out for later. And if you find yourself getting tense and hyped up and overheated in the middle of the game, take a break. Get a drink of water. Get some fresh air for a minute. It's just a game, and we should all have some fun with it. All right, this last one is huge, and bear with me on this. You gotta leave the dojo in the same shape or better shape than you found it in. I worked in a game store for a couple of years, and one of the worst things about it was cleaning up afterwards. I didn't mind that people were having some drinks or ordering food. It's the fact that they'd leave it out on the table. There's such utter disrespect for the dojo, especially a game store like the one that I worked at, where we worked really hard at making terrain and having an accepting open space for everybody to have to go around and clean up Taco Bell wrappers and chip crumbs and empty Mountain Dew cans everywhere. Respect the space. That space is for everyone. Please, for the love of everything awesome, flush the damn toilet. Nobody needs to see that stuff. There's nothing worse than finishing a long shift at the game store and having to go clean up somebody else's waste because they can't flush the toilet. And also, let's talk about having an inviting atmosphere for people who might come into the game store. They don't need to see your pee. Come on, we're all adults here. We all learned the basics of this stuff. We don't need to trash The dojo. The dojo is a place of honor. The dojo is a place of respect. It is hallowed ground for people who don't have a lot of hallowed ground. The folks working at your friendly local game store most likely love their jobs. And why wouldn't they? They're surrounded by an amazing hobby and some pretty cool people if you really get right down to it. But the last thing they want to do after a busy night of dice rolling, Taco Bell, and Mountain Dew is have to clean up after somebody else's pee-pee. All of this might seem a little heavy-handed, but I promise you, it's coming from a place of love. Our hobby is quirky as hell, and a lot of folks out there just don't get it. But when we come together at our favorite dojo to throw some dice, we've built a community. One that doesn't think it's weird that you think orcs is best, or that you can recite the lineage of your 10th level barbarian for 15 generations. It's a really amazing hobby space, and if we respect that dojo, we bring honor to it, and we bring honor to ourselves. Take care, everyone. Be kind to each other, and good game.
Writing. Writing.